Right, we're doing a spotlight episode. Do you want to say what the title is, as you're the sweary one?
I'm glad I know which one I am. Great. It's I've had a fucking enough.
Yes.
We chatted earlier in the week and that sentence may have escaped my mouth because I was feeling rageful about some shit that had gone down. But we're going to start off talking about adolescence because it was very heavy and shocking, and I wanted to know what you thought about it.
So I finished watching it today because yeah, I wanted to, well, I had to binge it because it was so good, but I also wanted to talk about it with you. And yeah, I think like everyone, I was just totally blown away by it. Um I found it so powerful. The actors in it are absolutely incredible, and the way that it's shot and everything is just, yeah, stunning. Um, and there are so many little details that were great, and we're going to have to include, there are spoilers in this, right? We're just, yeah, we're going to talk about it. So um, I found so many things as a parent so moving and so relatable. And while I feel that I'm not quite there, hopefully, with my children yet, because they're a lot younger, it's something that I think definitely has the potential to happen to every family. And that is terrifying, but something that we also really need to take on board and deal with, like really look at how we all deal with mobile phones and social media in our family. And yeah. What about you? What did you think?
Yeah, I chose to watch a lot of episodes before bed, so that was fun. And it just was really terrifying, and I was already feeling a bit like I needed to look at my own phone use before I take control over the kids. Not my kids don't have phones, they're 5 and 8. And my personal preference, as well as my husband, is that they're not going to get a smartphone for as long as humanly possible. But I think it just cemented that worry about it, about phone use, and I can see just the detrimental effect it has on kids, and I just really worry that childhoods are being taken away. And I, as you were saying, I can even see with my own kids how things can change and how they grow up and how things really affect them. Someone saying this or not being as vocal about stuff as you want them to be. And what I found scary is because the family is relatable to some extent, and you know that they're trying their best. And so it can be easy to just, you could see how you could be victims to that as well. You know, it was
Yeah.
scary that probably this is happening in other families right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing where the parents are talking and they're like, yeah, but we didn't think he'd be like coming to any harm when he's there in his bedroom, like on his computer until 1 in the morning. And like, I mean, everyone does that, don't they? And I thought like, yeah, they probably do. I mean, if you let your kids sit online, then yeah, sure. I think the scenes that I found some of the most shocking were the ones in the school. And I live in a different country, so the school system is probably, hopefully, slightly different here, but I don't know because my kids, same as yours, are 5 and 8. They're not in secondary school yet. And like the lack of respect just shown generally really frightened me. Just like the way that the kids were talking about what was normal for them, of what was shared online, what was said online, and the fact that the grown-ups were totally lost and like overwhelmed. I mean, they didn't even know what was going on. The children have their whole other world and the whole own like language online that the adults just weren't a part of. And I thought, yeah, I mean, that's the reality of it anyway. That's not part of a drama. That is life now. And that was something that also that's really struck me, that yeah, it's like you need to be proactive in talking to your kids about stuff that's going on with them, and not just let them sit in their room and don't talk to them. It's yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's scary, and I've seen it with some young people that I know where they've got WhatsApp, and like I'm 42. I struggle with WhatsApp anyway. Most people do, right? Because I think there's so many chats, there's so many groups. You got your school, you got your mum friends, you got just a billion. And I know some young people, they're in more WhatsApp groups than I've ever known. There's just so many, and I just think I'm having a tough time. How about you? Your brain isn't even fully developed yet, and you've got hormones rushing around. That's just so scary to me. And yeah, so it's maybe do a lot more overthinking about phone use and parenting and all of that stuff. And I'm reading a book called The Anxious Generation, which is all about smartphone usage and how, as parents, we're protecting our kids from the outside, but not the internet. Basically, like that, it's like a free range. Here you go. So yeah, I think it's really good that that show is as popular as it is, because now people are having this conversation and they can see, okay, maybe I can change this. Maybe I can talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. But something that we've talked about this week is the way people treat each other online. And for us as drummers and parents, of course, like what that means for us. And so that's something that yeah, I'd like to hear from you about a couple of things about what you like, how you deal with stuff online.
So, do you mean comments I've had online?
Yeah, like firstly, I know even some of the guests that we have had on the podcast talk about like feeling a bit afraid of putting something online anyway, because you put yourself out there, you make yourself vulnerable for people to be cruel. And you do put yourself out there online, and as you should, because you've got a lot of talent to share. But even in spite of that, you do still get comments from people that upset you. Like, how do you then deal with that?
Well, it's been a process. I think I used to worry about it a lot. Like I used to really fear like at the beginning, I'd think, oh God, oh, am I going to really push post on this? Because I would worry that it wasn't good enough. And this is going to sound proper wanky, but it was a fear of not feeling good enough and not feeling enough. That's where it was rooted.
Mm.
And so if there were any negative comments, or even like questionable, could that be negative? I would see it as negative, and I would take it to heart and just be upset by it. What got me over it was just posting more, weirdly, and also distancing myself from that. So, whoever commented, are they my close friend? No. Is it a drummer I really respect? No, it's not. So, does it really matter what they think? No, it doesn't. And just like making my circle smaller really helped. But it still happens from time to time. And I tend to laugh now. I laugh about it. Like I've got this ridiculous video showing you how to twirl a drumstick, which is so silly, but I just thought, well, why not? And of course well, why not I post this video has got a ridiculous amount of views. And you've got really positive comments like an 8-year-old man going, I've always wanted to know how to do this. Thank you for posting. And then you've got someone else going, lol, this is shit, or this is so ridiculous. Show us, you should drum properly, or da 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 da, or you should go and study and actually learn how to play the drums. You know, you get all of those comments. But it does make me laugh because you can't please everyone, you know? And so I, most days, try not to give a fuck because I don't really value your feedback, actually. If you were to troll me, then I would go and collapse on the floor, you know?
Oh, I would absolutely never troll you. I mean, but I just think like who, I don't know, I don't understand where that need comes from in people. Why someone feels the need to write something like that.
I know, and I think a lot of it, some comments I've got is just I feel like a bit of a mansplain, you know, and that can really trigger me, and I'm like, I really want to say, but did you know I've actually done da 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 da? But then I just go, I actually think this is about them and their need to control or put their opinion somewhere because they don't feel enough themselves just to play psychologist because you know maybe I was one in a past life or something. But yeah, I try and just, it's dumb and I just feel like you're a fucking idiot. Whoever is trolling, this is just telling me that you're in pain. Hurt people, hurt people.
Yeah,
But it's
that's true.
fucking annoying.
I'm going to play this back to you when you next send me a message
I know, I know. I'm
saying
coming
that
out
someone
as
has trolled you.
I'm coming out all zen today. The other day it was not zen, and I was like, you know what? Fuck you all.
It's okay. We interviewed Mindy Abovitz Monk yesterday. That episode is going to come out in a few weeks. And ever since then, my new thing is I'm feeling Mindy. I'm like, I feel like this is the time, you know, if you feel like you need to talk about something, just say it. Don't worry about, but not trolling people. That's not what I mean. So yeah, I have something that I see for my work on a regular basis that I wanted to talk about that is in line with this. So I look after the social media for a company that has drum brands, drum and cymbal brands. And so we have a lot of females who play drums, and obviously they post content online. And then I like monitor the comments and, you know, likes and everything. And yeah, I would say that on a weekly basis, I don't even know. I can't even count. I should have brought statistics, but there are a lot of comments on the women's videos that are super sexual and just derogatory, like hideous. An example of a comment that I saw the other day is like, why don't you turn your camera angle round so that we can get a better view of your camel toe? It's like, I mean, it's a ridiculous comment, but yeah, stuff like that, like regularly on videos. And do you know how many women post comments like that on male videos that I see?
I can tell you right now, zero,
Come on,
right?
zero. I have never seen one ever. I'm happy for people to show me otherwise, but it has never happened in the 5 years that I've been doing this job. And yeah, I mean, we can say we're in 2025 and things aren't the same as they used to be, but in some places they are. And the only thing that I can see that has slightly changed is that now other people on the internet aren't afraid to comment on those negative comments and say, you're way out of line. Like, what are you doing? This is shit. But the comments still come. It's not that they're stopping. So yeah, that's
It's just infuriating. It's infuriating because to post something online takes effort and it takes guts to do it. And yeah, as much as I sit here and go, well, you got to distance yourself and really, it's really infuriating because it doesn't feel as free as it should be. It feels like you're being judged already, because you're a woman or whatever. And it's just so wrong on so many levels because a part of me wants to play devil's advocate and go, well, what would happen if I just wrote on some dude's Insta, hot, you're so fucking hot.
Show us your pants,
So
mate. I mean, like, you know,
I just, that will never happen. I might think it, but I'm never gonna just I'm never gonna write it because I just think that's kind of gross. That person is it being creative, and whatever their video is about, they're not asking for you to comment on how they look.
no.
It's really gross. So I don't
Yeah.
understand if there's a step missing in these people who just type and they don't go, hang on, is this helpful comment? Is this what
Yeah.
they're asking me? Are they asking me about what I think about their looks? Oh no, they're not. I don't. There's a missing link.
Yeah. It seems to be really like there's something missing on people remembering that we are real people. It's, you might be on social media, you might be online or whatever, but we're still real people. And that is just, I mean, is that something that people will then do in real life? Actually, that takes us into another point where it is, we were saying about catcalling and stuff and commenting just on how people look, or it's, I mean, I'm sure that every woman has experienced that since they were young. I know that, yeah, I had that when I was like 15 or 16, and it really freaked me out. And then it just, I mean, it just is something that continues. And yeah, as a mum, that's something that worries me about how to prepare my daughter for stuff like that in the future.
Yeah, it's weird because on one hand, like, have we gone too far? Because on one hand, I've been on a train where it was quite packed, and I was just standing here like by the door, kind of in the corner. And then I was like, had a guy in front of me, a guy next to him, and then a guy next to him. And they were very drunk and they were just swaying around. And he was just, I don't remember what he was saying, but he was quite confident and just kind of in my face a bit and was just kind of heckling. And I just said something like, he said something and it was like a half apologized. And I was like, well, it's good for you that I don't feel intimidated right now, isn't it? What are you doing? And he was like, and then I got off the train anyway. But it just made me very angry because he was just being, those three of them together. They don't think they realized how intimidating that was. And also, what are you doing? Like, I'm a woman on my own. It's weird. Like, it was very, just didn't feel safe. And then the other end of the spectrum is, well, from a man's point of view, and any guys listening, let me know. Does it feel like it's gone too far and you can't flirt with anybody or make a compliment without feeling like you're in the wrong? Like, I don't know where that line is, and I'm sure it's super confusing. But I also think, I mean, don't be a dick. Just read the room. And if you're really super drunk and there's a woman on her own, maybe you don't try and chat her up. Write her a note. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm lucky to have been out of that whole like dating app scene and stuff, but maybe it is just that people have lost the ability to communicate, and they just, I don't know, they don't know the way to do that, or they feel awkward or whatever. But I mean, yeah, like you say, read the room. You've got to understand, you must know when something feels weird, right? If you're saying something inappropriate, I'm sure people must know that. I don't know. I can't understand that at all because I think I overthink everything far too much. But there's something else that we've talked about that we both find weird, and that is Instagram and people flirting. Tell me about that.
Well, I don't, yeah. So I guess I've had a weird time with people just calling me, and especially on Facebook Messenger. So I've made the error where Facebook was once upon a time just me, my family, and my friends who I actually knew in real life, you know who they are. And then you get friend requests and you're like, oh, well, they know that person who I know and they're a drummer, so I'll confirm. And now it's the point where most of my feed is not people I actually know in real life. They're all just drummers who have added me because we've got friends in common. So a lot of people I don't really know who they are. But it's too late now. And so it's happened a few times where I will just get a message going, hi, and I might write back, hi, and then they'll go, how are you? And I'm like, I'm okay, thank you, how are you? Good. And then that'll be it. And then a week later, hi, how are you? Here's my number. Oh my God, yeah, I got one the other day. Oh my goodness. And he asked me about a drummer and I responded. And then he's like, here's my number, call me. I said, no, no, thanks. I'm married and I have a family, and no, I'm not on this app for phone calls. And then someone else, it's just, Jem, honestly, it's happened so many times where I'll get missed messenger calls that I've changed my settings now. I think I've got it right. And also on Instagram where someone will just keep calling. And I'm like, what the fuck are you calling? Like, I don't know you. And we haven't agreed we're going to have a chat. So what are you doing? Are you doing that to everyone? Is this something you do to everyone? And when did this become acceptable? Because I didn't get the memo.
No, I had something like that today. I saw on the work account where it was someone who had, yeah, sent a message saying that one of the women whose content we had shared was the worst drummer because she was a silly young girl. Obviously, I had to reply, and I did it professionally and I did it fairly, but I find that that is out of order to say. I won't leave it unanswered when someone says something like that.
She's so sorry. She's bad because she's a young girl. Let's just be clear.
He said, yeah, your marketing is terrible. Exactly for this reason, I've bought another 5,000 euro kit from somewhere else because you share content from this girl who is the worst because she is a silly young girl. And yeah, I politely responded, but just said that we support women and girls who play drums. And then he went on, he was obviously really riled. He tried phoning, which I've seen today. And I don't understand that thing. Like, when did that become a thing? Because I mean, I very rarely even call my friends. Like, if in an emergency or something, I know that I would, but it's weird.
I'm saying, I think I said it to you earlier. I feel like if you have not said, let me call you, or hey, is it okay if I give you a ring? If you also have never met them in person, if you're just calling someone out of the blue, I feel like you're either drunk or you need to go see someone,
Yeah.
because that's not how it works.
What are they hoping to say in that situation? I mean, was he? I just don't know what he was. Anyway, and my favorite was the message that it turned out you also had from the same guy, a DM saying, "Are you child free?" That was all it said. And I'm sorry for any guy who, I doubt any guy who would write such a thing is listening, but for anyone who is, the result of that was sent a screenshot to all my female friends and we laughed at you. So, you know, it's ridiculous. I mean, yeah, I'm a co-host of a podcast called Drummer Mamas. I'm definitely not child free. And it was as if because he'd sent it to you as well. It was like he's trying to find one woman in the world who doesn't have children. That was like the impression I got. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, this is again social media. It is bad. We should. I don't know. Oh yeah, you know what? Actually, I saw this amazing reel the other day. Um, I will try and find it, and I will try and put it in the show notes because this girl, I think she's got about, I don't know, 5,000 followers or something. I think she's a dancer. I don't want to muck it up. Anyway, she did a reel and it was showing her getting her nose pierced. And she said, "Oh, you wouldn't believe the comments I got about this reel about me getting a piercing." So then she just showed in the reel the comment, and it was one was, "Oh, I wouldn't draw attention to a nose like that." And then the next picture was that person, like them, their account. It was proper name and shame, and there was about at least 10. And I just thought, this is fucking brilliant because she's just not giving a shit. And yeah, so many of them were just, I think one woman was like head of a church community or something, and she'd wrote some horrible comment like, "Oh, what a horrible nose! Like, why would you get that pierced?" But I think, well done. Like, maybe that's what we need to do.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think maybe I've always thought too politely about stuff to actually
Same.
stand up for it. And that's what I mean. I'm feeling a bit more Mindy about it. She's
Mm-hmm. Be more Mindy.
Be more Mindy. But yeah, the thing about the way that girls specifically are treated online, really, that really does worry me. This whole, especially after watching Adolescence and like how normal it was for, because in the show, I'm sorry again, spoiler, but um they talk about how photos were shared of two of the girls' bare chests at it was sent around in a Snapchat at school. And I mean, I know of a couple of people, a couple of children who that has happened to in real life, and that is really something that worries me. Like, I'm already thinking, even though my daughter is 8, about how to prepare to have that talk, and also how to deal with my son about that as well, because it's not just something that girls need to learn, it's something that we also need to talk about with our boys.
Listeners, what have I had a bad experience when I was in my 20s? I was in my 20s.
Yeah, I remember.
So this is the awful thing because I was in my 20s, but I feel like it's happening so much younger. So when I was in my 20s, I'll try and keep it super brief, but I fell in love with someone, and there may have been some intimate pictures taken which were meant to just be for us because it was long distance. Or even if it wasn't, doesn't matter. And unfortunately, he ended up like hacking into my website, putting the pictures up on my website, and then emailing, I think, everyone in my email contacts these pictures. And so it was horrendous. And it was like, holy shit, this is like your worst nightmare. And at the time, there wasn't much support because it was like, thank God there wasn't Facebook. Thank God there wasn't Instagram because it would have been all over that. But the reason I'm telling you this is because I am going to tell that to my girls. And I don't want to scare them, but I just want them to be aware that it's not just a photo. People share that shit. And people you trust can betray you. And I'm going to try and angle it to be like, this happened to me. It doesn't have to happen to you. Like, be smarter than me. And hope that, yeah, I don't want to terrify them, but I also just want them to just know that they don't need to do that and that it can really backfire. And then I know that lots of young people have got in terrible trouble because they have shared things and it's got out of hand and they felt so ashamed that they couldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm waffling on, but
You're not at all. I mean, when that happened to you was also a really very frightening thing also to witness, like as a friend, because it was something that, I mean, that was a totally new time with stuff being able to be sent, like pictures and videos and stuff,
yeah.
like overseas, even from mobile phone, was a totally new thing. And I mean, there wasn't necessarily like a way of people even dealing with that then.
Mm,
So you downplay it a lot because that's that's credit to you and how you are, but it was a horrendous experience that you went through, and there was a lot, a lot that you had to deal with because of that. And sadly, yeah, like a picture is, or a video is forever, isn't it?
mm,
It can be out there forever.
mm,
um yeah, but like I find it really worrying, like when you talk about, when you should, or when you can even start talking about that stuff with your children, because
mm.
they're they're still so young. But even like we see in adolescence, 13 is young, but that's obviously too late.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's really hard because I want my girls to stay as young and as childlike as possible. And it feels like society is going the other way. And that, yeah, like my eldest, I know sometimes I just can see she just wants to be grown up and, yeah, do things, be her own person. And obviously, I want that for her and want to give her more responsibilities, but the right ones.
Oh, yeah. It's hard, isn't it? It's like when they're little, you feel like everything is new and there's so much to worry about. But I
Mm.
feel like as they get older, the problems change. And from my perspective now, they look really frightening. But I just hope that as our children develop and we develop with them, that it's then something we're able to deal with at that time.
Mm. And I think it helps that we're all in, I feel like a lot of us are in the same boat. So you and me are talking about it. I'm talking about it with my school mum friends. And whilst not everyone might not agree about certain things, a lot of us do. And I think that's really great because then it doesn't have to be the same. We can change it and hopefully, yeah, I don't know, pray for a miracle. And maybe
Yeah.
smartphones will just not be cool anymore. I don't know. Or there won't be a pressure, perhaps.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's to do with peer pressure, isn't it, from
Yeah.
other kids? And if basically, if all the kids didn't have that, didn't have a smartphone, then it wouldn't be a problem. But here we are. So,
It'd be good to hear from anyone listening if you have any thoughts about it and if you think we're being too harsh, if you think we're blaming the wrong thing, if you think that it's actually nothing to do with smartphones, if you think it's just parenting, and also what you think about the whole catcalling thing slash flirting. Is it too far? Or yeah. Can we not take it anymore? Or is it just old fashioned and inappropriate?
yeah, I was really pleased to see when I was in London the other week on the Underground that they had posters about that now, like saying that it's an offence, and that is a huge step forward. So thank you. It was
Thank
good to talk to you about
you.
that. I
You
feel a lot
too.
lighter.
I'm going to go upstairs and read more of my Anxious Generation.
Yeah, great.
Thanks for listening to the Drama Mamas podcast. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave us a 5-star rating because it makes us more visible to other listeners. And we really do appreciate any comments or reviews. It makes a difference. Thanks again, and see you next time.